won 5 of 6. They lost their last 2, and they've done it because Breeze has been inaccurate, throwing picks 7 over his last 2 games. Meanwhile, for the Giants, Troy, they're going to have to win here tonight to maintain a 1-game lead in their division. But if you're the Giants, you're thinking, well, we've got them right where we want them, because they are usually very good at closing out seasons.
Well, they are. I mean, it's a great quality that they feel that whenever they need to turn it on, they invariably will. The time is now, Joe, and I think the time really is for this defense. I think when you look at the Giants this year and when they've been good, yes, Eli Manning, of course, is going to have to do his thing. But that defensive line is going to have to be able to get after Drew Brees. Different task than they had last week against the Redskins. Now they've got this aerial assault of the New Orleans Saints, and if they're going to win, I think the defensive front is going to be a big factor in that.
Two teams will come out with a lot of passion here on Week 14 in the Meadowlands. For more before kickoff, let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Hey, Joe, during pregame warm-ups, a number of Giants players kept a watchful eye on what was happening on the video board. They wanted to know what was going on in the Dallas game and the Washington game. I walked over to NYGvNO2012. He kind of shook his head and said, we have got to start playing better now. Meantime, cornerback Corey Webster, he hates the roller coaster ride that the Giants are on. He says it's no fun. We have got to get off of it. They seem to understand what's at stake. Back to you.
There's a lot at stake because of what transpired in overtime in Landover, Maryland, and what happened at the end of the game in Cincinnati with Dallas. Giants start with a football. It'll be David Wilson, the rookie, on return from a couple of yards deep in the end zone. He can fly. Big start. No flags. Wilson to midfield and knocked down inside the 45 of the Saints. 58-yard return. Tackle made by Elbert Mack, and this kid is a threat returning kicks.
Well, because of his speed and his playmaking ability, you talk about it. A great way to start this game for the New York Giants. Middle return, he hits it. He's got a seam. He gets to the outside. And Tom Coughlin is happy to see this. I mean, every time this young man has the ball in his hands, he is capable of going the distance.
180, and movement up front on the first play from scrimmage.
False start. Number 64 of the offense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Let's take a look at the offense for the Giants. They check in ranked 10th around the NFL. Eli Manning has been on a bit of a roller coaster lately. Had the 3 games without any touchdown passes. Then he had the big night here 2 Sunday nights ago against Green Bay. A lot of yards, but only 1 touchdown pass at Washington on Monday night. So on 1st and 15, Manning, well protected, hits Cruz. And Victor Cruz is knocked down inside the 40 with an 11-yard completion, tackle made by Harper.
Well, Victor Cruz, he's in the slot. You're going to see against that zone coverage, he's just able to get to the middle of the field. Good protection inside for Eli Manning, and they're able to get this back to a normal down and distance after the penalty there on 1st down.
On 2nd down and 4, the handoff to Bradshaw. Bradshaw got hit by Lofton. The middle linebacker, a gain of just 1, 3rd and short coming up. So here are the names up front, and it's Deal back starting at right tackle as they've lost Sean Locklear on IR with a torn ACL, and there are the backs and receivers.
Yeah, Dave Deal coming into this game, as you said, replacing Sean Locklear, who went on injured reserve this week. But David Deal, a veteran guy, says this is the best he has felt all season long.
On 3rd down and 3, Manning fakes the handoff, and he is nearly picked off by Jabari Greer, right into his hands as he tried to get it to Dominic Hickson.
Jabari Greer, he recognized that play right from the start. You see he's up in press coverage, and then he's able to get inside technique and a ball that was laid behind him, and that's a play that Jabari Greer just has to be able to make.
Greer with just 1 interception on the season. That was a gift that he didn't want to take. As Weatherford punts it, Sproles with a fair catch. Somebody screaming in his face. And after that great start with the return by the rookie Wilson, nothing in the way of a drive put together by the Giants. As we welcome in a new audience, that's us. There's our night. 44 degrees here in New Jersey, and it's an early penalty against the Giants, a 3-and-out, and a 1st and 10 for New Orleans. Checking in at 5-7 on the season, needing basically to win out to have any chance at the playoffs. They start the night on the ground, and they hand it to Mark Ingram, who gains 5. You look at Drew Brees, he is coming off his worst 2-game stretch, at least with regard to interception, that he's ever had in his NFL career, as he's in his 12th year out of Purdue.
And we talked to him yesterday, and he, for the first time in all the years we've been covering New Orleans Saints games, he was really pleasant, but in no real mood to talk.
No, it's kind of uncomfortable. 2nd and 5, and this one right into the ground. His big tight end Jimmy Graham, the closest one to it. And we'll look at this offense, and Troy, that offensive line will be tested with a good defensive front by the New York Giants.
Yeah, and I think Tom Coughlin said it best, that this defensive line has got to get to the quarterback more than they have. I think people look back at what happened 2 weeks ago. They did get after Aaron Rodgers, and we saw the results. That has to happen in this game for the Giants.
Jimmy Graham at the top of the screen. Sproles in the backfield over the middle. Colston hit in stride. Ball comes out. And recovered by the Giants. Knocked out by Antrell Roll. And it's a turnover by the Saints as Colston was hit in stride. And it was a hit put on by Will Hill. And Roll was there to pick up the fumble recovery.
How about that? Will Hill, who's getting his opportunity to play because Kenny Phillips is not active today in this game, and there was a little bit of a question mark on him. He makes a huge play here in this first quarter.
Sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Marcus Colston coughed it up after Drew Brees dropped it in on 3rd down. Hit him in stride. Knocked away by Will Hill. This Giants defense, which has been piling up takeaways, gets another. Here's Hynoski. Driven out of bounds by Vilma. A gain of 8. Well, now look at the NFC East. With the Giants playing here, they've got to win to maintain that 1-game lead in the division. The other problem for the Giants is that after you get to head-to-head matchups, you go to record within the division. And the Giants in that category are under 500 at 2-3 so far. Wilson in the backfield on 2nd and 2. He gets it on a toss, running right. And the rookie's got a 1st down. Will Smith on the tackle, a gain of 4, and we'll look at this defense for the Saints, which could not have started worse to the season under first-year defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, who used to coordinate the defense here with the Giants, but it's been better the last 2 weeks.
Well, it has been better. In fact, it's probably been better even the last 3 weeks. You go back to their game against Oakland, even though they still gave up over 400 yards, it was better than what they had been doing.
Here's Bradshaw trying the left side, and Ahmad Bradshaw picks up 4.
I think for the Giants right now, you think back to that game against the Washington Redskins. They had the ball for over 20 minutes, Joe, in that first half against them, but yet they didn't come away with really enough points, and that was the story throughout that game. And we saw the big return to start this one by David Wilson, and not to come away with any points. That would be very frustrating, and now they've gotten themselves, because of the turnover, right back here in position again to try to come away with some points on this drive.
180, easy. Hey, base, 50, Omaha,
Manning just got it away. Hynoski out of the backfield got hit and dropped by Roman Harper. And you could see the Saints showed blitz a little early. Eli Manning changed the play. Still no gain on the completion to Hynoski.
Well, he knew it was coming, and he knew that there was going to be a free blitzer inside. And so as soon as he got the ball, he then worked his way to the right, got the ball out. Good play to Hynoski, but they didn't pick up any yardage. And Steve Spagnuolo last week against Atlanta brought a fair amount of pressure in that game, and he dialed it up on the last play too.
3rd down and 6. Manning hangs in, and he is picked off. Intercepted by Albert Mack. Down the sideline. No one there. No flags, and a touchdown for New Orleans. On 3rd down and 6, trying to get it to Jernigan, and he could not fight the football through Albert Mack, who comes away with interception number 1, touchdown number 1.
Well, you're going to see Gerald Jernigan. He's running the out route, and probably not a good decision even on trying to get the ball to him. Granted, ball behind him, and Mack's then able to make the play. Should have been an easier catch than what he made it. But the ball was behind him. But even with that, I think if the ball had been where it needed to be thrown, the corner was squeezing that as well.
It's a 73-yard return for the touchdown as Eli Manning throws interception number 12. Saints get one on defense and lead 7-0 here on the road.
The official beer of NFL fans. Here we go.
So far for the Giants, they've had 8 offensive snaps. All have been in New Orleans territory, but the Saints lead at 7-0 as Eli Manning throws an interception returned by Albert Mack, 73 yards for the touchdown.
Pretty remarkable considering where the Giants got to start both of those possessions, and yet the Saints lead 7-0.
And David Wilson, who returned the first kickoff 58 yards, gets another shot. An explosive rookie who has room to run. How about this? To the sideline. And thank you very much. David Wilson returns a favor. .96 yards from David Wilson.
Once again, middle return. And there's just nobody there, Joe. I mean, a good job by the Giants with the wedge on the initial blocks. But then David Wilson hits it, and there's just nobody there, and they're not going to run him down.
Tynes ties it. And David Wilson, who was a sprinter in college, had room to run, took care of the rest. They're calling it 97 yards officially. What a start, tied at 7.
Sponsored by the Buick Verano. Unexpected luxury in a car this size. By the Bourne Legacy. It's the best Bourne yet. On Blu-ray and DVD December 11th. And by Samsung Galaxy Note 2. The next big thing is here.
Well, so far, we've got the Saints with a defensive touchdown. The Giants with a special teams touchdown. Jonathan Vilma leaving the playing field, going to get checked for something in the locker room. And the Giants have their first kick return for a touchdown since Dominic Hickson went 74 yards against New England 76 games ago, back in 2007. Here's a little pop-up kick, and Pierre Thomas from the 15-yard line will return it out across the 25. So here are the two scores. The first one, Albert Mack.
Yeah, you're going to see again Gerald Jernigan. He's running the out route, and Albert Mack undercuts it. The ball's behind him. But Jabari Greer, the corner on the outside, he was in a position as it was to make a play on that ball. And then, you know, here's the second big return, this one going the distance for David Wilson. And so here we've had a lot of big plays, a lot of scoring, and both defenses have really played pretty good ball.
And the former collegiate triple jumper does a backflip in the end zone to celebrate. Handoff is to Ingram. And here's a back that I know you really like watching. Mark Ingram in his second year, first-round pick out of Alabama last year. There's a recap graphically of what we've seen so far. But Ingram is a guy I know, without even hearing you say, you'd like to see them feed a little more often.
You know, I would. He reminds me so much of the guy that I used to hand the ball off to, Emmitt Smith. And Mark Ingram, because there's so many other good backs, Pierre Thomas in the game right now, really just does not get a lot of carries.
Thomas gets it. And Thomas gets one. Haven't even had a chance to look at the Giants defensively with that good group up front. But their big guys on the edges have been shut down of late. Blackburn playing a middle linebacker with a bad ankle.
I think it took them all week to recover from the exercise they got last Monday night, chasing RG3 around the field.
Kenny Phillips not in there, not active. Tweaked his bad right knee 2 games ago against Green Bay. On third down, pass is caught by Jimmy Graham for a first down. A gain of 7 and a nice catch by Graham, who's one of the NFL's big weapons.
Well, they put Will Hill. We saw Will Hill make the play on Marcus Colston and knock the ball loose, and this time they line him up on the outside. They split Jimmy Graham out wide, and that's one of the real questions each week for the New Orleans Saints is how's the defense going to try to defend Jimmy Graham?
On first down, pass is caught by a wide open Henderson. Devery has 11 over the left side. It's a good week for the Giants as Henderson comes away limping. Good week for the Giants to get linebacker Jaquan Williams back. He had missed 6 games with a knee injury, and he is by far their fastest and their best cover linebacker. That's him, number 57. He'll get a lot of Jimmy Graham today.
Yeah, if they elect to put a linebacker on Jimmy Graham, then Jaquan Williams will get the assignment.
He's across from him right now as Breeze finds the fullback Jed Collins. Lost it in the air and now picked up. Back the other way as Linval Joseph returns it. It's another Saints turnover. Antrell Roll was in the middle of it, and Jed Collins got hit by Roll, and it was Antrell who knocked it out.
Antrell Roll, I mean, he really put the defense on notice this week, and he comes out, he's able to strip Jed Collins. Linval Joseph, he picks it up off the bounce, and that'll be put on his personal highlight reel.
Realize this, the Saints came into this game with no fumbles lost on the road. The only team in the NFL that could say that here in 2012, they've lost 2. And the Giants defensively now with 32 takeaways on the season. Top 5 in that category as Manning throws wide open. Pass caught Hickson. Jabari Greer on the stop, and in this 7-7 game, a 16-yard completion to Dominic Hickson.
Joe, Tom Coughlin said the other day when visiting with him that, you know, coming into this game, the Giants on turnover ratio were a +14. The Saints, on the other hand, were a -2. And he said somehow that's got to bear itself out in this game. Now, he wasn't anticipating having one of his own balls intercepted and returned for a touchdown. But they have forced some takeaways already here in the early going.
Here is a lot of contact and a flag as Hakeem Nicks was interfered with going down to make that catch.
Running the slam route, Patrick Robinson just gets there a little bit too soon.
Pass interference, defense, number 21. Ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. First down.
Still almost caught it. Hakeem Nicks, who missed Thursday's practice, has been battling foot and knee issues. It's been the knee lately that's bothered him, but he is that big weapon to take some of the pressure off the focus and the attention that Victor Cruz gets on the outside. They're happy to have him for this game.
Well, they sure are, and he battles through it. You know, he doesn't complain. He doesn't use it as an excuse. He's still been productive, but it's been a challenge for him all year.
Delayed handoff, Bradshaw. Ahmad Bradshaw, who is managed very well with his practice schedule, gets a 1.5 yards.
Yeah, he doesn't get much work either, and hasn't. You know, I mean, and then on the other hand, David Wilson, because Ahmad Bradshaw doesn't practice during the week, he gets all the reps. But Ahmad Bradshaw, as we know, I mean, he's had the foot injuries, and he does what he can. He came out on Friday, got a little bit of work, just enough to satisfy Coach Coughlin. And Coach Coughlin knows, though, he's going to be suited up each Sunday, ready to go.
2nd down and 8. Manning with protection finds his tight end Bennett. Penalty flag on the play, as Bennett is wrapped up outside the 5. A gain of 4, but a flag is down. Jeff Triplett is our referee.
Prior to pass, holding, defense. The 5-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
They don't call a number, but holding against the defense, it may be against linebacker Curtis Lofton right there. And now Bradshaw goes to the bench area, and he's getting his leg looked at. 1st and goal. David Wilson gets it on a toss. Hawthorne out there to make the play, a loss of 1.
Yeah, we saw Ahmad Bradshaw over on the sidelines, and so David Wilson comes in, and they like David Wilson on 1st and 2nd downs. I mean, as a rookie player, it's oftentimes hard for them to learn to protect and do all the things that they have to do and have to know within pass protection. Having said all that, I think as good as he was on those 2 returns, Joe, I think I'd be sure interested in seeing what he could do in this game on early downs and feed it to him and see if he's not in some type of zone right now.
Inoski back there to protect Eli Manning on 2nd and goal. Over the middle, caught for the touchdown. That's Bennett. And Martellus Bennett, who had a touchdown catch on Monday night at the Redskins, his first since week 3, has touchdowns in back-to-back games.
Yeah, Martellus Bennett runs an excellent route there on Curtis Lofton. Lofton expected him to break outside. Martellus Bennett comes inside, and he's wide open. And well, you're right. Martellus Bennett has really become a nice weapon for Eli Manning.
Well, they were waiting around in Dallas. Of course, he was playing behind Witten, who takes the majority of the snaps there. Bennett, they kept waiting. Well, now he's with a divisional rival, the New York Giants. He's into the end zone with a touchdown, and the home team leads by 7. The Giants turn their 14th defensive fumble takeaway into 7 points. Martellus Bennett, 6-yard touchdown catch from Eli Manning, who has thrown a pick 6, but now his club is up by 7 after a kick return for a touchdown, and now points off a turnover. And the Saints, who are down by 7 with the rain falling as hard as it has all afternoon and into the evening, they'll start at their 20. There's the fumble forced by Roll. Martellus Bennett, the Giants offense are piling up for the Saints. 7 interceptions thrown by Drew Brees the last 2 games coming in. Now each of the Saints' first 2 possessions have ended with fumbles picked up by the Giants. Handoff is to Thomas. And Pierre Thomas is out across the 25, and we go down to the field for info on Ahmad Bradshaw. Here's Pam.
Yeah, Joe, he has left the field, gone back into the locker room. They are looking at his knee. That's all they're giving us right now. His return is questionable. Back to you.
So they've got a running back that's had issues with both feet. One of the real tough guys in this league, and now looking at his knee. Toss to Sproles, running left, got to the edge, cuts upfield with a first down. Solid tackle by Brown, the young safety, but a gain of 9. Stevie Brown was there to make the stop.
Yeah, of course, Darren Sproles, he missed 3 games because of the hand injury. This is now his 3rd game back, just his first carry that he's had since his return, but he's been obviously very involved in what they do in the passing game. This time they give him one on the ground.
Ready, my shot.
From the 35, a little end around, and it's Morgan. And Joseph Morgan with a flag down for a hold. Had 16 yards, but it's coming back.
Holding number 45, the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
They get Jed Collins, who has already turned it over once, and they get him for a hold.
Jed Collins is right out here. That's where the hold takes place on. Looked like Antrell Roll was. That's a good call as Roll tries to peel off of that and make a play. Antrell Roll, I'll tell you, I mean, he came into this league, as you know, as a cover corner, first-round pick by the Arizona Cardinals. He then makes the move to safety, but he loves to hit, and he's being used more around the line of scrimmage in recent weeks by Perry Fewell.
4 men on the rush. If Breeze goes for it all for Henderson, and it's tipped away by Corey Webster. He had Henderson, and Webster got his right hand out and knocked it away. Good play to save what could have been a touchdown.
Yeah, a ball that's just underthrown enough. You know, I mean, he's able to get a hand on it. Had Drew Brees have been able to lay that out to Henderson, you know, Corey Webster's beat, but he's able to make a play on it. I know Perry Fewell's glad to see that happen because Corey Webster has been very inconsistent this year. You think back to how good he was last year in that run in 07. I really think if the Giants are going to make another run, Corey Webster's got to get back to playing the way he has been.
On second down and 20. Breeze finds Thomas out of the backfield. And Pierre Thomas out across the 25. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill with the game break.
All right, Joe, thanks a lot. Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. Look at this run, and look at the blocking by the rookie quarterback, Russell Wilson, helping create a seam there, and 20-yard TD run, and the Seahawks lead the Cardinals 10-0. Hey, Joe, Troy Pan, quarterback out in front blocking. What do you think?
Well, I guess we should expect it, and a lot of love for Russell Wilson on Fox NFL Sunday today, and well-deserved. The guy who gets lost with those rookie quarterbacks, Luck and Griffin. Now third down and 18. Breeze nowhere to go and just throws it away. Pressure by JPP, and it's fourth down. Breeze looked everywhere and couldn't find any spot to throw it.
Yeah, the only thing he might have had was something underneath, but because of the down and distance, you know, I mean, he's trying to get the ball down the field a little bit further. Excellent coverage by the secondary of the Giants, and then the pressure finally is able to get to him.
Jeff Triplett just threw a flag literally 4 seconds ago as the officials got together to talk about grounding. It's fourth down anyway, but it would cost field position.
The quarterback was out of the pocket, but did not get back to the line of scrimmage. The intentional grounding. Number 9. Ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. Loss of down. Fourth down.
The line of scrimmage is the 27. And that's the other part of being able to get rid of it. Out of the pocket, but the ball's got to get back to the line of scrimmage. And it did not before it sailed out of bounds, and it's a loss of 19 yards. So Morstead has to punt out of his end zone, and all things considered, hits a good one. They're going to mark it at the 45, so good field position after a 47-yard punt. Nothing on the return. January 4th, one of the best bowl games of the year, and it's on Fox. Heisman Trophy winner and one of the most talked about players in the country. Johnny Manziel leads 19th ranked Texas A&M against the 11th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic is January 4th, only on Fox.
Well, that's a great game between those two teams, and congratulations, as you said, to Johnny Manziel and bringing home the Heisman Trophy, and a guy who obviously comes in with no fanfare and walks away with the most coveted award in all of college football.
We saw Vilma leave earlier. He's back on the field. They were x-raying his collarbone, and there is Wilson. Penalty flag on the play. It came out of the secondary as David Wilson was good for 23. But it's against the Giants.
Pass interference. Offense, number 13. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
They get Barden for offensive pass interference.
Well, that's not what Steve Spagnuolo had in mind. You're going to see the penalty here on Ramses Barden. I'm not sure what Ramses Barden was doing, but Junior Gillette was the one who ended up having to try to keep up with David Wilson because of the scheme. He's an outside defensive end, but he's dropping into coverage, and here comes Wilson, and he had to try to pick him up.
It's a big penalty. Moves the ball back to 35 as they give a handoff to Wilson running to his right. And a nice play by Lofton. Lofton has really impressed Steve Spagnuolo. The two guys in their first year in New Orleans as we go back to that play.
Yeah, there it is there, and they bring David Wilson out of the backfield. I mean, it could have been even a bigger play than it was. Of course, you know, all for nothing with the penalty on Ramses Barden. Barden was running that as if he wasn't aware that it was a pass play.
Now 2nd down and 20. Manning, that's tipped. Incomplete. Ended up behind Barden, and so what looked like a promising drive starting up at the 45-yard line. As you watch Casillas get up and get his left hand on the pass from Eli Manning, is now 3rd and 20 back into 35.
Well, and we'll see who now is in the backfield for the New York Giants, because they really are uncomfortable with David Wilson in protection, but yet that's what he's going to be asked to do here on this 3rd down.
Wilson leaks out. Manning just throws it away. And then Manning gets planted on the sideline, but there's no flag thrown. Martez Wilson with pressure. We're under a minute to go in this first quarter. And there wasn't much out there. I guess we're all conditioned now to any time a quarterback ends up on the ground, you're either expecting a flag or getting a flag, the way the NFL and the way they're calling it now.
Well, and the fans too. You hear all the oohs and ahs coming from them.
Darren Sproles from inside the 15. And well covered downfield. Pazinger on the stop. A return of 4 yards, and there is a flag way back near the line of scrimmage. Spencer Pazinger downfield to make the stop, and now Sproles can't get up.
Holding. Number 54 of the receiving team.
Let's take a look at the hit on Sproles as he got taken to the turf by Spencer Pazinger. Saints have it, down 7. Sproles was able to get up and walk off. As you look at the wild card chase in the NFC, this drive for the Saints will start inside their own 5. And where do you want to start with a wild card picture, Troy? I guess you look in this division and you see what Washington did. You see what Dallas did. Wait, what?
Are you not cold, or are you just like your suit? I mean, look at me. I'm all bundled up over here.
No, I'm pretty proud of the suit. I'm not going to lie to you. But okay, let's talk about this division in Washington, Dallas, the Giants, but a big loss maybe for Washington as RG3 could not finish that ball game.
Yeah, I mean, Washington's been playing, you know, such good football, and yet that injury, don't know what the severity of it is, but, you know, obviously a much different team if he's not able to go forward. But a lot of exciting things happening for a lot of these teams as we move now into the last 3 games of the season. Of course, Seattle playing right now and Chicago winning, but, you know, there could be some 10-win teams, or at least one that isn't able to get in.
Seattle's kind of the interesting story. They got that win on the road last week in Chicago. Chicago then lost by a touchdown at Minnesota earlier today as Mark Ingram picks up 2. Jaquan Williams on the tackle, and then Chicago's got a date at home next week against the Green Bay Packers. And the Green Bay Packers have a night game tonight at home against Detroit.
Well, how about the Seattle team, as we talked about, that Green Bay win that they had earlier in the year with the controversial ending of that game. I mean, that could impact both of those teams by season's end.
It's a 14-7 Giants lead at the end of quarter number 1. Fox NFL Sunday returns after this from your local Fox station. As you look at a different take on what we've seen so far through 1 quarter. Takeaways, points off takeaways. An interesting kind of odd start to this game as Thomas carries it on the handoff up across the 10, picked up 6. Chase Blackburn on the stop. 3rd and short coming up.
No, and it was a good call, and it was good execution there offensively. 2nd and 8, and being able to hand the ball off to Pierre Thomas and pick up 6-7 yards. Pretty good.
Now they get up to the line, and after not huddling, try and pick up the first down on the ground, and it looks like Thomas has enough. So they go with a hurry up. They got right back to the line of scrimmage, and Thomas got it by about half a yard.
Yeah, I think for New Orleans, you know, they came out, they started the year against the Washington Redskins week 1, and Drew Brees was asked to throw the ball an awful lot, and that's really the way it went early in the season. And then they started balancing things out with their running game. But the last 2 weeks against San Francisco, especially last week, and that loss to Atlanta, Drew Brees threw it 50 times. They've got to be able to strike more balance.
Extra offensive lineman to help protect Brees, and this one is dropped into the arms of Lance Moore. Out of bounds across the 40. And as you watch this route, realize that the Giants defensively talk about getting back to a normal thought process defensively after having to worry about RG3 last week. Well, it may be a more traditional offense, but you've still got Drew Brees trying to find holes in that secondary.
Yeah, a little different style, zone defense there. They're able to get Lance Moore through the middle of it. Big pickup.
26 yards of a big pickup, trying to set up a screen. And they do with Pierre Thomas, and all of a sudden this is a pretty creative drive being put together by the Saints as Thomas gets 11.
Well, Joe, I mean, you think back to the last 2 times these teams have met. I mean, in 09 and then last season. Granted, both of those games were played in New Orleans, but this is an offense in the Saints that put up almost 50 points in each of those games. Some teams just don't match up particularly well against others. The Giants in the previous matchups have not matched up well against this Saints offense.
On first down, a missed tackle, and Pierre Thomas gives way to Mark Ingram now as they shuffle those backs in and out, a gain of 4. So we see Pierre Thomas, now Ingram. He gets a carry, he goes right out, and that's got to be tough for any running back not being able to settle into any kind of a groove.
Well, he came into the season, he was banged up, so he was limited in his carries early. And the most he has touched the ball this season is just 16 carries. They've got a bevy of running backs. They utilize them all. But with that, each guy has to share the carries.
Good jump off the snap by Umenyiora as the pass is over the middle for Thomas. Pierre Thomas is good for 12 and a first down.
And Pierre Thomas, you know, we're talking about Mark Ingram and, you know, the potential that he has when completely healthy. Pierre Thomas, who has led this team in rushing, and he's just the all-around back for them. I mean, he really can do it all. And I don't want to say underrated. I think maybe that gets a little overused around the league, but he's an awfully good player that I don't know a lot of people around this league are that aware of.
Here's a handoff to Ingram as he's back in there. He inches inside the 30. Boley on the stop, and we go to Kurt Menefee with a game break.
Well, it seems as though Seattle's Russell Wilson's getting better every week. This, the longest pass of his young career. 67 yards to Anthony McCoy. Can't fight his way into the end zone. That's okay. A couple of plays later, Marshawn Lynch gets his second touchdown. Seattle leading Arizona early in the second quarter, 17-0. Joe, Troy, bam.
We'll talk more about that in a second. Second down and 8. Rain is picked up a little bit as Brees is protected well. Pass is dropped by Sproles, and it was Jaquan Williams who flashed in front the linebacker who almost picked it off.
You know, Jason Pierre-Paul, his sacks are down from where they were a year ago, but he still has had an excellent year. But Zach Strief does a nice job on him, and Drew Brees with time to throw the ball, but they're just unable to complete the pass.
Third down and 8. Brees over the middle has Colston wide open. And Marcus Colston with a catch inside the 20. 12 yards and another Saints first down.
You see Osi Umenyiora, he just bull rushes Jermon Bushrod at left tackle and puts him right into the lap of Drew Brees. But Drew, as he does so well, he's able to just slide a little to his left. He's got plenty of time then, and then finds the open man.
Ready, blue 90, black shot.
Hand off to Thomas. And Pierre Thomas down inside the 15. It still amazes me that a guy, when you see how big these offensive linemen are, the defensive linemen are like Jason Pierre-Paul, Chris Canny in the middle, how somebody like Drew Brees, who may be 6 feet tall, is able to slide around and find a throwing lane as he did to hit Colston.
Well, that's what he has to do. That's what I had to do. I mean, even at 6'4", it's hard to see over these offensive linemen because they're tall guys, as you said, defensive linemen as well. He slides very well, and he's got good feet, good presence in the pocket.
2nd down and 6. The pass is high and almost picked off by Amukamara. Pass intended for Jimmy Graham. It was tipped, I believe, by 2, and then Amukamara could not haul it in.
Yeah, tough one you're going to see as it gets tipped, and then to try to make a play on the ball after the deflection is not easy to do. Prince Amukamara, who has 1 interception this year, and a guy who, really needs to start making more plays for someone who was drafted in the 1st round.
3rd down and 6. Brees out to his right, finds his man, and a flag is thrown. Pass is incomplete. Lance Moore did not secure the catch going out of bounds, and a flag is thrown in the spot right where Lance caught it.
Incomplete pass is ruled at the sideline. 4th down.
Looked like he stepped out anyway.
Yeah, you see his left foot is out there. And that's why it was ruled incomplete.
So now a field goal try, as Garrett Hartley will attempt from 32. Just 1 for 2 in this range during the season. He is 11 of 14 for the year. And he's perfect. That makes it a 14-10 game. Productive drive put together by the Saints, who trail by 4.
Sponsored by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. By Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind. And by Kay Jewelers. Every kiss begins with Kay.
Welcome you back to a rain-soaked stadium here in New Jersey. Saints about to kick it back to the Giants, who have had 4 offensive possessions, produced just 51 yards, but they have 2 takeaways defensively and 155 yards of kick return excitement from David Wilson. So the Giants, who lead by 4 with under 10 to play in the half, will get it back. And here he is again. Has a 97-yarder for a touchdown, and he's got another big one. Forced out by Morstead, the kicker. And this kickoff coverage team for the Saints is leaving gaping holes for Wilson to find this one good for 52. 4-point game. Earning kicks against the Saints, and he has made it look easy, shown that great speed.
180.
Ahmad Bradshaw back in the lineup. They fake it to him. Manning rolls to his right and has Cruz, who's got a 1st down. And we go back to that special teams play again. The kick return by Wilson.
Yeah, you look at this group right here. You say it makes it look easy. Look at the good job that they do. Jim Cordell, who had a tough week last week, he does a nice job. Bear Pasco, and the whole key to this is the timing. You see the blocks are engaged, and they can't hold them for very long. And so David Wilson times it perfectly. They're in perfect sync. Tom Quinn, special teams coach, got to be pleased with that.
Cordell had a couple of holds on 2 kick returns that proved pretty costly against the Redskins on Monday night in a 1-point loss. Here's Akeem Nicks, good for 7. Brought down immediately by Patrick Robinson.
This field position that the New York Giants have been getting is, awfully good. Of course, they didn't take advantage of the first return by David Wilson, but boy, he has set him up nicely.
Giants type weather as opposed to what the Saints experience at home in the dome. On 2nd and 3. Manning has Cruz ridden out by Greer, but Victor Cruz has another Giants first down. Good for 9.
Ahmad Bradshaw, he's now back in the lineup, and they were able to get Cruz out to the flat, and good protection inside for Eli Manning once again.
3 catches for Cruz, 71 on the season now.
50's in Mike, 50's in Mike. 4 down set. 180, 100.
And there were 2 guys moving at the snap. Handoff is to Bradshaw, but that'll be 5 yards against the Giants. Both Hynoski and Bradshaw were moving, and that didn't time up.
See the look on
Illegal shift. Offense. 2 men moving and not resetting for 1 second. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
You're going to see the movement here. You've got 2 guys that move at one time. You've then got to get set. And when Ahmad Bradshaw, when he saw Henry Hynoski go into motion, then he got confused on the snap count. And heck, when we visited with Tom Coughlin on Friday, he still hadn't gotten over the penalties that they had called against him in the Washington game.
6 offensive penalties of the 9 total against the Redskins. Here's one for Hickson. Flag is thrown where Manning was being protected. Pass was incomplete. Here's a call.
Ellies to hands to the face. Number 98 in the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Cedric Ellis. Got his hands up too high.
And Cedric Ellis, who he's on the inside right here, number 98. It's against Kevin Booth. As you see the hand to the face there, and a good call. But Cedric Ellis, who kind of struggled there in the middle of the season, they're starting to use him a little differently here in recent games, and his play has picked up.
So first down from the 17. Bradshaw running left. Gets away from Jabari Greer. Does not get much. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage, and the tackle eventually made by Lofton.
Well, the Saints defense, as you talked about, Joe, I mean, they've given up a lot of yardage, but when teams have gotten down here in the red zone, for the most part, they've done a decent job. I mean, there's not a lot of things they've done well, but that's one of the things that they've done at least better than in some other areas. Although the Giants, the last time they got down here, they were able to get the touchdown to Martellus Bennett.
You saw Zach Streif, the starting right tackle for the Saints, walking off. Here's the pass to Bennett, and the turf monster got him. He was backing up, made the catch, and down he went.
That turf monster, he doesn't just live in one place, does he?
He
kind of gets around
well, all over.
Gets around fast. You still cold, by the way?
Mr. Protective quarterback with his...
I don't know if I'm cold or my suit just doesn't look as good as yours.
Your coat. It's 3rd down and 12. There's a day for Eli Manning. Bradshaw checks out with the recently added Greg Lumpkin in the backfield.
And he's not just a blocker either. And he won't be on this play.
In the slot on the right side. Pass is to Nix. It is broken up by Robinson. A nice play as Nix had gotten behind him. It's 4th down.
Yeah, Patrick Robinson, he goes up on it. He leads the team with 3 interceptions, and he has a chance. If he was able to pull that one in, that would have been huge for the Saints, and not even giving up 3 points on this drive.
And so now Lawrence Tynes, who's had a good year, will attempt from 36. Missed one on Monday night. And this one is no good. Pulled wide to the left. And it remains a 4-point game as that drive comes up empty for Eli Manning.
Sponsored by Sprint.
They're giving a look to Victor Cruz on the sideline. He made that 9-yard reception, and we're checking his shoulder strength a moment ago. As this drive for the Saints, down by 4, starts at their own 26. Here's Ingram. And Ingram is across the 30, a gain of 6. How about some early game headliners as we play late in the day here in Week 14? Cam Newton, there is his effort in a pretty dominant day for Carolina over Atlanta. Adrian Peterson, another week, another 100-plus yard game. And Robert Griffin III, good numbers, but a knee injury that took him out of that game late. Handoff is to Ingram, and he works his way for a Saints first down out to the 40.
I was saying Mark Ingram, and we've touched on it a little bit, here, Joe. And I think Mark Ingram's one of those guys who, really does need a lot of touches. And I think he's going to be one of those running backs that gets better as the game goes along. And they really like him, too, as they should. He's a powerful guy. He's got great quickness. But the small samplings that he gets, he hasn't been overly productive with the limited carries he's gotten. I think he'd be better if he got more.
Breeze over the middle finds Thomas. And Pierre Thomas, part of a running game that's averaging just under 5 yards a carry for the Saints, has 11 yards through the air and another New Orleans first down.
Well, that's where Drew Brees is just so good when, you can call things down the field and just trust that if it's not there, he's going to come underneath. Now, I say that, and he's coming off the heels of a 5-interception game 10 days ago against Atlanta. But he makes, for the most part, awfully good decisions.
Here's Sproles, got a block on the edge. And he is forced out of bounds by Stevie Brown, who was the only Giant in his way, looking at the end zone. Forced out at the 15 in a 34-yard run.
You're going to see left tackle Jermon Bushrod. He gets out. He does a nice job kicking out. And then you've got the receiver on the outside who does a good job of sealing it so that Sproles has a place to run. It looked like it was Joseph Morgan. Sure was. Morgan on the outside. He comes down. He takes the safety support Antrell Roll, and that creates a nice lane then for Sproles.
Delayed handoff to Ingram. Makes a nice move, and then he gets flipped inside the 10 by Antrell Roll. And this is the top team in the NFL inside the red zone at 70% coming in. The majority of it is through the air, but they're faced now with a second down and relatively short. 2nd and 4 with the ball at the 9.
9-3, ready.
They fake the toss. He's looking for Colston. Now comes back to Graham. And Jimmy Graham gets crumpled at the 6. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Yeah, everybody always wants to know, what teams are doing that are so successful in the red zone. And a lot of times you'd say it's the teams that run the ball well, but you talk about how well they throw it down here. 22 of their 26 red zone touchdowns have been in the air. And it's because Drew Brees is just so adept at finding the mismatch and then putting the ball where it has to be.
So what do they do on 3rd and 1? They toss it to Sproles, running left, and it's well played. A loss of a yard, and Antrell Roll was there for the Giants to make the play.
And they come back to the same toss sweep that they had the big gain on a moment ago with Bushrod leading the way. Antrell Roll is able to avoid that block and come up and make a play. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with Antrell Roll over the years and his willingness to stick his face in there and make a play, and he does a nice job on Darren Sproles on 3rd down.
Saints will be presented with 4th down. They'll let it wind down to the 2-minute warning here in the Meadowlands. And a 4th down and a couple when we come back. 2-minute warning. 4-point Giant lead. Along too as Joe Vitt is leaving his offense out on the field.
Yeah, I think maybe they're going to try to draw him off sides, but other than that, I don't agree with going for it here. I think you've got to take the 3 points.
And they were trying to draw him offside. Now the field goal unit will come on for Joe Vitt, and it's in the category, I guess, of why not. If you think about the Giants and where they are, first of all, they just missed a field goal, which would have made it a 7-point game. Hartley will try to make it a 1-point game. Giants will get it back with under 2 minutes to play here in this first half. Tynes had made 39 straight under 40 yards. He missed from 36. But you've got the Giants trying to win here to keep a 1-game lead in the NFC East. They're at Atlanta, at Baltimore, and at home against Philadelphia the rest of the way. They're in a fight now with the Redskins and the Cowboys for the NFC East. 25-yard try by Hartley, and it's a 1-point game. So with 1:57 left in the first half, we'll take a break here in New Jersey. There is a live look at the YouTube sensation 9-year-old Sam Gordon. The guest of the NFL at today's game, Utah native, has wowed the United States with her play against boys in her local youth football league. And there's her before the game. She was throwing it, running it around, and she's impressive and cute to boot.
Yeah, very cute and impressive, to say the least. Not only what we saw there on video, but yeah, watching her before the game, Joe, some of the moves that she was putting on some boys a little bit older than her on the field was pretty good.
Like David Wilson today against the Saints in this poor kickoff tackling team of New Orleans, as Wilson's trying to put together a record-setting day. And he's out across the 30. Good starting field position for the Giants in a 1-point game with 3 timeouts left. It's a 20-yard return, and now 227 return yards on kickoffs for David Wilson. The Giants record is 259. In a game by Willie Ponder back in 2004 against Pittsburgh. And the NFL record, Tyrone Hughes for New Orleans at home against the LA Rams went 304. We'll be talking more about that as the day unfolds further for David Wilson. Protection for Eli Manning, who finds Bennett, and he's able to spin his way out of bounds to stop the clock. Tackle made by Lofton after a gain of 11.
Yeah, we'll kind of see now what the Giants are able to do here before the end of this first half. If they're able to take this drive and come away with any points, you know, and see if they can't match what the Saints were able to do, getting a field goal of their own. Of course, the miss by Lawrence Tynes on the previous possession, but Eli Manning, as we know, I mean, he's awfully good in these situations.
Victor Cruz back out there in the slot on the right side of the formation and going for a deep ball. Flag is down. Pass is caught by Nix. There's no ruling on the catch yet, but there is a flag thrown on the coverage by Patrick Robinson. Let's take a look. Catch was bobbled and then corralled, but a flag's down, and it looks like it's against the Giants.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Pass interference. Offense. Number 88. Pass interference. Defense. Number 21. Those penalties offset by rule. Replay first down.
So they call offsetting pass interference calls against Robinson and Hakeem Nicks.
Yeah, initially it looked like Patrick Robinson made contact first, and then right at the end there, they got Hakeem Nicks with extending his arm. You don't often see where they call it on both guys, but I think that, you know, if they were going to call it on one of them, then certainly the other one was deserving also.
First down at the 42. Underneath, the pass is caught by Bennett. Forced out by Robinson, who's been busy in this first half, a gain of 7.
Of course, Martellus Bennett, who had the nice game last week on Monday night against the Redskins, but all of that damage happening there in the first half. He, as we said, he's been quite a receiving threat for the Giants, but the thing that he was really known for in Dallas, out of necessity really, was as a blocker, but that's an area where he's been more inconsistent here with the Giants.
It was Manning to Bennett on Monday night that put the Giants in position to get a field goal late in the half there. And now it's Bennett again over the middle, hit by Lofton, a gain of 8. And a timeout is taken by the Giants. They have 2 left, and we'll hear from Kurt about what's coming up at halftime.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll get you caught up on a busy day, including an emotional win for the Cowboys. A bittersweet victory for the Redskins as RG3 gets injured, and the Falcons get upset by Carolina. We'll see you at the Visa Halftime.
And the Falcons will be playing host to the Giants next week. Here's Bennett.
Yeah, you see Bennett, and he's as if he's putting a fork in his mouth. He's trying to tell Eli Manning, hey, feed me, just keep feeding me the ball, and that's what they've done, here in this half, and he has made some nice catches. That was a good catch there on that last play.
On first down, pass is to Bennett, who gets fed more. Penalty flag is down as Bennett got up, picked up extra yardage, but this may be coming back.
Holding. Number 44 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
They get Ahmad Bradshaw, and it eliminates a 16-yard catch and run by Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, you've got to check your assignment first. You're going to see Mack comes on the blitz, and Ahmad Bradshaw, he is responsible. You can see he's responsible for making that block, but he doesn't see it right away. He's anticipating that Mack is there to cover him, and as he starts to release to go into his route, he then sees Mack on the blitz, and he reaches out and just grabs him. And you've got to secure your blocking responsibilities first if you have that in assignment.
So more penalties on this Giants offense. That was a big one, eliminating a 16-yard completion. Manning, sideline, Cruz. He's got it. Working on Jabari Greer, 35 yards from Eli Manning.
You see, they switch release it, and the New Orleans Saints, they get confused. Whenever the outside guy releases to the inside slot receiver, Cruz, releases to the outside, and both defenders go with the outside receiver, and they leave Victor Cruz wide open up the sideline.
Tom Coughlin, the 66-year-old head coach of the Giants, in his 9th year, fired up with a first down at the 18. Manning drops it, picks it up, and just throws it away, basically. Just trying to get rid of it. The pass incomplete. Bennett was close enough to it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I say close enough. I'm not so sure. I mean, he was 10, 15 yards away. I mean, clearly Eli is throwing that to avoid the sack.
Receiver is in the area.
They talked about it, and they're going to say Bennett was close enough.
Yeah, Bennett's running a corner route. It got across clearly the line of scrimmage, but that's one of those questionable deals as to how close does it have to be. I mean, the intent was obvious, but as you said, I mean, they ruled that it was close enough to Bennett that they don't throw the flag.
They just reset the play clock late. You heard the announcement from Jeff Triplett. Manning got to the line. There was 1 second left on the play clock. Lumpkin in the backfield as Manning slings it to Nixon. Hickson has the catch inside the 10. Good for 9 yards. Dominic Hickson with the clock winding to 45 seconds left in the half.
Hey, 41 tonight.
Bradshaw to the 5.
They burned one of their timeouts, and that's what I was unsure if Eli was aware what the down and distance was there. It was 3rd and 1, and if you aren't on top of that and you throw the ball and it's incomplete, even though there's still time, you're having to settle for a field goal. So a nice job there by a veteran guy in Eli Manning, knowing the down and distance and then running the draw and picking up the first down. It was a great job on the play before that, hanging in the pocket and being able to get to his 3rd, 4th receiver in the progression when he got the ball to Dominic Hickson.
It's 1st and goal with the ball just outside the 5 in a 1-point game. And if you want to talk red zone like we did for the Saints a moment ago, this Giants offense is 22nd ranked offensively in the red zone, just under 50%, scoring touchdowns from inside the 20. There's Kevin Gilbride, who does such a good job calling the plays offensively for Eli Manning. It's 1st and goal. 1 for 2 today inside the red zone are the Giants. This one is incomplete, and a lot of contact with Hakeem Nicks and Patrick Robinson.
Even that play there, Eli Manning was wanting to work the front side, but he has protection inside, and so he's able to get all the way back across to Nicks. And there definitely was contact as he was trying to come out of it. Whether or not he would have been able to make a play, I don't know, but you know, that's a throw and catch that we've seen these two guys make over and over and over in recent years.
2nd down and goal. The timeout remaining for the Giants. Hickson for the touchdown.
See Dominic Hickson, he cuts his split, but then he squeezes it up the field, and so by doing that against Jabari Greer, he gives Eli a nice spot to lay that ball to the corner. As a quarterback, you're just laying it to the back pylon and hoping that your receiver runs a good enough route to afford you the room to make that throw. An excellent route and a perfect throw by Eli Manning.
Working on Jabari Greer, and for Hickson, his 1st of the year. He'd missed the last 2 games with a bad ankle. And Eli Manning at the end of really each half can be deadly, managing timeouts, getting the ball down the field, and he ends up getting it up and into the end zone in the arms of Hickson with a perfect throw.
Yeah, it's really a nice job of capping an outstanding drive. You know, the Saints, they get down in there inside the 10-yard line, and they're unable to come away with a touchdown. The best in the league. The defense tightens up when they had to. They force a field goal, and it was cut then to 1 point. But for this offense to come back, run the clock down now to 20 seconds and end it with a touchdown pass to Dominic Hickson, that's a big-time drive.
5-yard touchdown catch at the end of a 9-play, 69-yard drive, covering 1:37 on the clock.
You know, and Steve Spagnuolo, he talked about it. Last week, it was the first possession of the game defensively when they let the Atlanta Falcons go right down the field, 70 yards rushing there on 5 plays in that first possession on Monday night, or last Thursday night, I guess it was. And then this time it's the possession right before the end of the first half that they give up a lot of yardage and the touchdown to go along with it.
Travaris Cadet will wait for the kick from Tynes. Field position, such a big part of this game. Tom Coughlin talks about that a lot as well. Run 30 offensive snaps, 23 have been in Saints territory. Here's Thomas again, another return. And Pierre Thomas out across the 25 with just 16 seconds left in the first half. Join the NFL in celebrating 50 years of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This golden anniversary, come to Canton and join the more than 10 million fans who have made the pilgrimage to the birthplace of the National Football League. And there's Troy Aikman going into the Hall of Fame back in 2006.
Now, it's a special club, and there's a lot of great names, as there is always every year. But this year, first-time ballot guys, we've got our own Michael Strahan and John Lynch.
Yeah, great list. A lot of guys very deserving, and that's the end of the first half. 8-point game. 21-13 Giants in a game they need in what is a fight in the NFC East. Piece of halftime report is coming up after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. us in our audio department's pulling out the good stuff. You hear a little M83, a little Passion Pit, a little Phoenix, then you're talking about good music here on the NFL on Fox. And here's a guy who just discovered Mumford and Sons like 4 days ago. Troy Aikman to my right. And what are we in for here in the second half of this game between the Giants and Saints?
Well, I think you look at what's happened. I mean, if you're the Saints now, you're down 8 points and you're trying to get back into this. Drew Brees is doing some nice things, but the turnovers and then the special teams, particularly the kick return. I mean, they've got to be able to cover up. David Wilson certainly better than they have in that first half.
Well, the Saints will start this second half with the football, so they'll get an early look and see how their offense can go after the Giants defensively after halftime. You can follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. And Drew Brees, who is as frustrated as he's been maybe at any point since coming to New Orleans in 2006 with the way his team started, 0-4. They won 5 of 6, but they've lost the last 2, and thanks in large part to his 7 interceptions. A guy who is regarded as one of the game's best. Here's Cadet out across the 20 to the 22. And let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe Fitt thought he had a terrific and phenomenal special teams, but he said not so much today. We've got to do a better job on those kickoff returns. Said offensively, we can't get down in the red zone and not come away with touchdowns. As for Tom Coughlin, he said offensively, we can play better. There are things we need to do. Defensively, he said we got to firm things up in the middle, slow down their running game. The Saints with 101 yards on the ground. Back to you.
Yeah, the running game's been pretty good for the Saints. Ranked 27th in the NFL coming in. Here's Graham. In the air, picked off. Intercepted by Stevie Brown. And Brown stays on his feet, knocked out at the 20. And it's another takeaway by this Giants defense. And another pick for Drew Brees.
And another interception for Stevie Brown. I mean, last week he recovers a fumble. He's had a knack ever since he started playing for the injured Kenny Phillips of being at the right place at the right time. And that's a good sign for a football player. Good things happen around the ball, and he catches a deflection. He's playing center field. A ball that Drew Brees tries to squeeze in, but because of the tip, Stevie Brown is there to get the takeaway, and that's what has hurt this Saints team the last couple of weeks, and that's what's hurt them here in this game again tonight.
This is the 5th time the Giants start a drive inside Saints territory as Wilson over the right side gets 2. For the Saints, 10 turnovers in their last 3 games. They have 3 today. And you talked about it, Stevie Brown. You're getting something for the Giants out of nowhere. I mean, this was a guy who was originally a 7th-round pick by Oakland, and Stevie Brown in 2010. Spent some time in Carolina, Indianapolis, and he has really stepped forward for this Giants defense and been a big part of it. This one is thrown to the corner, incomplete, as Manning had a hand in his face. Bennett, the intended receiver.
Yeah, well, Stevie Brown, I mean, he has really come in and done a nice job for this Giants team because of the problems that they've had at the safety position, particularly, as I said, the injury to Kenny Phillips, and then they've had some other younger players, and Will Hill got suspended there for a little while, and he has made the most of the opportunity that he's been given. Now, looking at it here, Joe, 3rd and 8. I mean, this would be huge for the New Orleans Saints defense if they hold the Giants to just a field goal attempt.
Here is that 3rd and 8. Pass is caught. Hakeem Nicks. First down inside the 10. Robinson on the stop. They'll mark him down at the 6.
Well, we've seen that matchup. Patrick Robinson got one earlier in the first half when he knocked it down in the end zone, and then Nicks makes a play up the sideline. And on this one, Patrick Robinson, he slips at the top of that route when Nicks starts working back to Eli Manning, and then they're able to convert.
Brings up a 1st and goal from the 6. This is such a different Giants offense when they have Hakeem Nicks, a guy who does not get into a good practice routine with his quarterback Eli Manning during the week. He because of injury. Handoff is to Wilson. And the rookie Wilson is in for the touchdown. Second rushing touchdown for David Wilson, who's having a big day today here against the Saints. And he got it in.
Well, he sure did, and a good job of blocking by that Giants offensive front. You see as he crossed the line, and Chris Nee, the right guard, he pulls Henry Hynoski, he leads the way, and then it's right in the hole. Jonathan Vilma one-on-one on David Wilson, and Wilson's able to get through him and get the ball stretched across the goal line. David Wilson has had himself a heck of a night.
It's a 15-point game. Now 14 points off turnovers for the Giants offense. 2 touchdowns on the day for David Wilson, and the rookie's been busy.
Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Applebee's. See you tomorrow. By the all-new Ford Fusion. Go further. And by Microsoft Surface.
Certainly one of the best tailgating scenes anywhere in the NFL here in the Meadowlands. And the young running back David Wilson, who has made his big mark returning kicks in this game, and really that's been his contribution to this Giants team all season long. Gets a rushing touchdown, makes it a 15-point game. Cadet can't get to the 15. Wrapped up by Herzlich. A 17-yard return, and Mark Herzlich is there for the stop for the Giants. And we look ahead to the Cotton Bowl, the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic on Friday, January 4th, 7:30 Eastern. OU, Texas A&M, and Johnny Football, the most recent Heisman Trophy Award winner, will be on display here on Fox.
Johnny Football, love it. He kind of took the country by storm, didn't he?
Yeah, he came out of nowhere.
And we congratulated him on the Heisman Trophy, and you know what a nice job he did with his acceptance speech. An impressive young man.
Starting from the 12, handoff is to Ingram. And not much room to run. A gain of 2. Jason Pierre-Paul there for the Giants.
You talk about David Wilson and what he has done tonight. You know, you kind of thought coming into the game that he might have an impact, because Tom Coughlin said, you know, we've really just given him plays on the offense. Maybe this game he'll be able to actually get a series. Of course, Ahmad Bradshaw goes down earlier in the game. It looked like he was going to get more work, but you know, his impact, as you said, rather than so much offensively, even though he gets the touchdown, has been in the return game.
With Thomas in the backfield, good protection. Now Pierre Thomas on the reception. A gain of just 3, third down coming up, and let's go for a game break. Here's Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Joe, 49ers running away from the Dolphins, literally. Frank Gore, 19 yards down to the 1. Anthony Dixon would cash that one in, 20-6. Colin Kaepernick's numbers, 16-21, 177. No touchdowns, but no turnovers. Joe, Troy, Pam.
49ers currently the number 2 seed in the NFC, behind Atlanta. There's Morgan with great speed on the outside on third down. Breeze can't complete it to Jimmy Graham. It's 3 and out.
Well, Breeze was wanting to go to Joseph Morgan on the outside. He had one-on-one with the speed, but then he couldn't really get off the release very well. And you see, that's when Breeze looks his way. Doesn't look good. Webster doing a great job in coverage. He comes off it then to Graham and just unable to connect.
And you referenced it earlier, Corey Webster, who really blossomed under Steve Spagnuolo, who's defensive coordinator back in that championship year of 2007. So good in the postseason that year. Here's Hickson, and Dominic is out with a 10-yard return. They'll mark him just outside the 38. Giants have the ball in a 15-point lead. Commissioner Goodell now takes his seat next to Sam Gordon. a luxury suite level here in the Meadowlands.
We talked about Johnny football. Maybe we'll start calling her Sammy football.
Why not? Starting at the 38. Giants up by 15. They hand it off to Wilson. David Wilson gets 4.
Well, maybe this is that series that Tom Coughlin talked to us about, and get him a little bit more work. It's clear that he's, well, there he goes. Forget that. But it's clear that he's got a hot hand, you know, and he's feeling awfully good, you know, certainly with the returns and getting in behind the wedge and the things that he's done there, but also coming off that touchdown run. That's a good job on his part.
Hey, Rocco!
I'd like to see him get a few more carries.
On second down, Manning steps up and over the middle finds his receiver, Nix. And Hakeem Nicks is out of bounds inside the 40. Working on Patrick Robinson and a completion of 23 yards.
You see the pocket that Eli Manning has and the job that these guys up front are doing. You know, I mean, he's able to hold the ball and let Hakeem Nicks work the middle of the field there and find a hole within that zone and then put it on him. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good stuff. And even though Hakeem Nicks is, as we said, I mean, he's not at full strength. He won't be for the rest of the year. He's still, I mean, his assets isn't really his speed as much as it is him being able to find the holes in the zone and being physical.
Handoff is to Wilson, and there's nowhere to run. Gain of just 2, brought down by Lofton. We've talked a lot about him, the rookie, the first-round pick out of Virginia Tech. And his big contribution, a 97-yard return for a touchdown, over 200 yards combined returning kicks. And we've seen a couple of backflips from David Wilson, the last on the touchdown run, his second touchdown carry of the year.
You know, he's doing flips earlier in the year, and I thought his teammates told him they didn't want to see that anymore.
On second down, pass caught by Cruz. Cruz made the initial move, brought down by Hawthorne, a gain of 5.
You know, if I was a young running back coming into this league like David Wilson, you know, pretty good place to be, you know, here with the New York Giants and Tom Coughlin as your head coach, and a guy who really believes in the running game, and Kevin Gilbride and the things that they've been able to do over the years running the football. Of course, last year they did not run the ball all that well. One of the reasons why they went out and drafted this young man, but this year the running game has really been able to take some of the pressure off of Eli Manning, something they were unable to do last season.
Third down, Manning rolls right, and it is caught by Victor Cruz. Looked like a one-handed catch from our vantage point. Jabari Greer on the stop, but a first down after this completion of 3 yards with a left-handed bobbling catch.
I thought that catch was worthy of a salsa dance, didn't you?
There's only one way to salsa, and that's to get it into the end zone, which Victor Cruz has done 8 times.
It was the guy with the Knicks the other night.
Yeah. Here's Bradshaw.
Salsa dances catch it on.
Bradshaw in the backfield. This one is flipped and caught for the touchdown, Knicks. A perfect throw by Eli Manning. And the Giants start to run away.
Yeah, they're starting to turn the tables on the Saints like the Saints have in other matchups in other years. And Patrick Robinson just never saw the ball. I mean, he turned around to try to make a play, but he never was able to locate the ball in flight. And Eli Manning drops another one perfectly. Team Knicks didn't practice all week, Joe. I mean, they were a little concerned about him, and maybe that's the secret here in New York. You just don't practice and then come out and play great.
3 touchdown passes from Eli Manning in this game. Knicks good from 25. 35-13 game. Hakeem Nicks, who had 24 touchdown catches the previous 3 years combined, gets just his 3rd of this season. He missed 3 games. He's been battling knee and foot issues since the beginning of the season, and the Giants offense has scored 3 touchdowns in the last 7 minutes 7 seconds, and it's a 35-13 game. Return by Cadet. And Travaris Cadet is out to the 25. It is getting more and more fun for number 10 with the Giants here tonight. 3 touchdown passes for Eli. And that beleaguered Saints defense talking and thinking about it on the bench. First down for Drew Brees in this offense, which has not been clicking. And it hasn't been clicking for a while now. In danger of dropping their 3rd straight after having won 5 of their previous 6. Here's one downfield, and it is caught by Morgan. Joseph Morgan is down inside the 20. Down inside the 15-yard line, and a ball that looked like it kind of slipped coming out of the hand of Drew Brees. Floated through the air, and a big completion downfield of 62 yards.
Well, they bring in an extra lineman to try to secure protection, Eric Olson, 69, and you see the job that they do that affords Drew Brees the time to get the ball down the field to the speed guys we said in Joseph Morgan and Antrell Roll. I am not sure where he was going or what he was doing, but a ball that, as you said, kind of hung there because of the moisture in the air. And yet Morgan was able to make a play on that with no defender contesting it.
Brees off the hands of Sproles.
Well, you get into a game like this, and when you have the kind of lead that the Giants have right now, you know Perry Fuel's just talking to him, hey, just don't give up the big play. You make them go 10, 12 yards, 10, 12 plays if they're going to come away with any kind of points. And yet they give up the big play, not just the big play, but the big play to the speed guy who they know. He averages over 40 yards a catch. That's what he does.
Mike 9-3. Ready. We're waiting. What's that?
On 2nd and 10, delayed handoff to Sproles. Darren Sproles in for the touchdown. And in a blink, the Saints can close it to a 15-point game. And that, I guarantee you, you just said the magic words flying through the mind of Perry Fuel. Don't give up the big play, and the 62-yarder to Morgan set it up.
Yeah, it sets it up, and then they come right off of that, and they are able to get the touchdown by Darren Sproles. A good job by Jermon Bushrod, the left tackle. He's been involved in some nice blocks out on the edge when they pulled him, and then on the outside with the receivers, well executed.
First rushing touchdown of the year for Sproles. And it's a 15-point game. Take a break, come back. Saints making it interesting with a quick strike on offense. NFC wildcard picture. We roll the video from that game that makes Green Bay Packers fans sick to their stomachs with that call in the end zone. What should have been an interception by M.D. Jennings. Instead, it was called a touchdown, a game-winning touchdown for Golden Tate of the Seahawks. That was coincidentally the final week that we saw replacement officials around the NFL. So you saw the list of the teams, and we'll get into it as we continue through this second half. But the Seattle Seahawks are in a great spot, and they are absolutely taking apart the Arizona Cardinals, who are about to drop their 9th in a row after a 4-0 start. Pop-up kick. They're getting scared of the rookie David Wilson. And there's Jim Cordell, who had that rough week, there to fall on the ball that was loose. Giants have it up by 15. And so we've talked a lot about the NFC wildcard picture. We will continue to, and really, I guess, as importantly, talk about the NFC East. Who knows about RG3? The Dallas Cowboys got a big win today on the road in Cincinnati.
That was a huge win. They very easily could have lost that game, but they win, and they, the Redskins as well, keeping the pressure here on the New York Giants, and they certainly have come out here tonight and responded. A team that really kind of had the division under control and then lost 3 of their last 4 and kind of fell back to the pack.
Yeah, got off to a 6-2 start to begin the year. Manning keeps it, and that's batted away by Cameron Jordan. Trying to set something up for Vermont Bradshaw, and Jordan got up and knocked it away.
Well, I've got to believe that Tom Coughlin over there on the sidelines, the way that the Saints went right down the field on that last possession and scored, giving up the big play to Joseph Morgan on the outside, has got him pretty concerned, because we all know how explosive this Saints offense can be. And now with over 7 minutes still left in the 3rd quarter, they've got to keep playing and plan on scoring more points themselves. I wouldn't feel comfortable even at 35 points.
Bradshaw in the backfield with Manning. He gets it on a handoff. Lofton in on the stop along with Jordan, and we go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
And Seattle securing maybe its playoff positioning. Marshawn Lynch, 11 carries, 128 yards, and 3 touchdowns. They've got 7 turnovers away from Arizona in this game. Cruising right now, 48-0 midway through the third quarter. Seattle knocking on the door of win number 8. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Yeah, so they're on their way to an 8-5 record. Chicago's at 8-5. The North being led by Green Bay at 8-4, and Green Bay hosts Detroit tonight. It'll be a test for that Packer offensive line against the defensive front of the Lions. Manning on third down's got Cruz. And Victor Cruz down inside the 40. "35 yards on third down."
Well, he puts a move on Elbert Mack, and Mack's not able to get a hand on him at all, and Eli then fits it in so that he's able to catch it and make another defender miss and pick up some pretty good yardage. You know, the Saints have been outstanding throughout the year getting off the field on 3rd and long. They were able to get the Giants into 3rd and long on that play, but yet the Giants just executed perfectly.
Alert, 50's Mike. I'm half. Oh, set.
Here's Bradshaw. Ahmad Bradshaw to the 35. You mentioned it earlier. New York Knicks guard and a friend to Victor Cruz. J.R. Smith hit a game-winning shot on Wednesday night against the Bobcats, and after the shot, what do? You win a game for New York.
Yeah.
You do the salsa.
Well, yeah, you do the salsa, but Victor Cruz thought that it wasn't quite good enough. I mean, he thought he was a little stiff. I thought it was pretty good.
It needed work, according to Victor Cruz.
That's right.
2nd down and 7.
That's when you know you arrived.
Manning. This one's picked off. Abdul Kadous. And he was lurking back there, stepped in front of Martellus Bennett. And Tom Coughlin beside himself as it's a takeaway for this Saints defense.
That's a ball that's late. You can see here's Kadous here, and the ball is late thrown, and he double clutches, and when he does, it pulls Kadous that way, and the ball's not there when it needs to be, and he's able to then make a play on it and break on it. The only chance that ball really had was if you were able to pull Martellus Bennett more towards the sideline and make him run away from the defender. But, you know, a late throw like that on that angle, that's a recipe for disaster.
Isa Abdul Kadous gets his first of the season as Ingram carries it, and on 1st down is out to midfield. Manning now has thrown 2 interceptions in this game. The first one that went for a touchdown, returned by Elbert Mack, 73 yards. And Eli Manning, as Troy said, late with that throw, throws his second, and here are the Saints right back in the ballgame.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it was 35-13 just a few moments ago, and the Giants were rolling along pretty good, and everybody's high-fiving and feeling good about it. And right now, I mean, you can feel the momentum clearly shift.
They stay with Ingram, and Ingram has got a lot of room to run right up the middle, a gain of 5, and that's where Ingram is really at his best, really from guard to guard, right back through the middle. That's how he gets his yardage.
Well, and that's where Tom Coughlin said they had to be better defensively, is in the middle where those defensive tackles play and not get pushed around. He said they had not been stout enough here in recent weeks, and there's been some pretty good runs inside. And now with them getting back into this and still with the time left, the Saints are able to stay with their running game.
On 2nd and 5, Breeze finds Graham. Jimmy Graham is inside the 25, now inside the 20. And the Saints keep on moving it. Blackburn on the stop with a completion of 28 yards.
Well, Daquan Williams is lined up on him in the slot, but they're in zone coverage. And so once he gets his hands on him, then he lets him go. And Jimmy Graham then is able to get into the void, and Drew Brees just puts it right on him. So, you know, you jam him, but there's got to be tighter coverage on him than that.
Easy, kill. Ready. You ready?
Saints are 1 for 3 in the red zone in this game. This is the fullback Collins. Collins gets a big hit from Amukamara at the end of the play, but a gain of 7.
Well, they've got it going right now, the New Orleans Saints do, and you can just feel, as I said, you can feel the confidence, really mounting with this Saints offense from the previous possession and then the way they've come out here after the interception and getting the running game going as they have throughout this ball game. And Drew Brees is firing the ball, and they're starting to get on their heels a little bit defensively.
Ready. We're waiting. Place up.
On 2nd down and 3. Handoff is to Ingram. And Ingram is stood up. 1.5 yards, maybe 2 full yards shy of a first down by Keith Rivers.
We talked about the Saints, how they in recent weeks have really gotten away from the running game and have been a little too heavy with the pass, and how important it was going to be for them to remain balanced. And it didn't look like there for a while they were going to be able to do it because of the score, but they've been able to stick with it.
3rd down and 2. Brees rolling to his right. That's Sproles. He is in for the touchdown. And in a game that was moving toward a blowout and a 22-point lead, back-to-back touchdowns by the Saints, both by Sproles. Did he stay in? He did. And now the New Orleans Saints needing to win out the rest of the regular season to have any chance at a playoff spot. Trying to jump up and take a bite out of the Giants, as Sproles has 2 touchdowns over the last 5.5 minutes. And this is all of a sudden an 8-point game. So this thing hasn't turned around, but it has really changed direction in some regard with momentum over the last 5.5 minutes. We look ahead to the NFL on Fox next week and some important matchups with the Giants at the Falcons, the Packers at the Bears. These Saints are at home against the Buccaneers, the Redskins and the Browns, the Vikings and the Rams. Both of those teams are alive in the NFC playoff picture, and now they've got some things to talk about with Perry Fuel and the defense over on the sideline after the Saints have made it an 8-point game.
I think that Giants sideline's kind of standing over there wondering what just happened here in the last 5 or 6 minutes, and how the Saints have been able to come right back with 2 touchdowns and cut this to an 8-point game. I mean, now the pressure clearly on the Giants offensively and being able to do something. And Darren Sproles and Drew Brees, in visiting with him, said, hey, the hand's healed, he's ready to go, he's chomping at the bit, and he's ready to have a breakout game. And he has given them a lot as a receiver, and then also in this one as a runner.
Another pop-up kick. It'll be Jernigan from the 15-yard line, room to run. And Jarrell Jernigan is going to break loose. Morstead is there to bring him down. But Jernigan gives the Giants exactly what they need after that last touchdown by Sproles.
Well, the runs that we have seen, the returns have been middle returns. And they do a good job of blocking, but there's just not anybody getting there to make a play, whether it's Jernigan on this run or David Wilson earlier. It's outstanding. Will Hill makes a big-time block on Mack that helps spring him also, but special teams coach Greg McMahon for the New Orleans Saints has got to be ready to jump off a building.
From the 25 now, after a 60-yard return by Jernigan, Bradshaw is wrestled down inside the 20, a gain of 6. Roman Harper on the tackle, and if it wasn't Wilson, they pop it up to try and keep it out of the hands of David Wilson. And there's Jernigan to return it 60 yards. And again, I mean, without Morstead, who's getting his sprints in because of lack of coverage, covering kicks by the Saints, it's another kick return for a touchdown.
It's amazing. I don't know that I've ever seen return yardage like we've witnessed here in this game tonight.
287 kick return yards by the Giants as Bradshaw's wrapped up a yard shy of a first down, a gain of 3. It's a Giants team record for their kickoff return yards in this game, and only one pair of hands got to Jernigan before Morstead wrapped him up.
Well, it's just outstanding. I mean, it is really demoralizing for the Saints. I mean, you go down the field, you get a touchdown, and then you give the ball to the Giants offensively down here. It's demoralizing for the special teams and especially this defense, who has to then come out and try to make a big stop.
Another look at that block by Will Hill on that last replay as Bradshaw will pick it up. A first down inside the 15. David Hawthorne on the tackle. And that'll do it for quarter number 3. So a team record 287 kickoff return yards today. Jernigan on the list with David Wilson. Fourth quarter after this from your local Fox station. It's America's Game of the Week as we start the fourth quarter in what is now an 8-point game as the Giants have a first down inside the 15-yard line. 75% of their offensive snaps have been inside New Orleans territory. The inability to cover kicks, a big part of this game. Handoff to Bradshaw. Todd Bradshaw, who does not go down easily, takes it to the 9.5. Gain of 3.
He picks up 3 yards, and with this good field position, the Giants just fed the ball to him here on this possession.
It's really something that's been a struggle as you see what they've been able to do with their field position. The Giants have rushed for less than 50 yards in this game. Bradshaw coming off a 100-yard effort at Washington on Monday. Cruz, he'll dance. Touchdown. Eli Manning with his 4th touchdown pass of the game.
That's an excellent route by Victor Cruz going against the second-year player Johnny Patrick, and he threatens him to the inside like he was going to run a slant. You saw Patrick lunge at him, trying to get his hands on him, and then Victor Cruz makes it easy for himself and an easy touchdown.
Victor Cruz gets touchdown catch number 9. He does his dance. And a lot to talk about for the special teams for the Saints. It's been a rough day.
That excites. By T-Mobile, nationwide 4G coverage from coast to coast. And by Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go.
Eli Manning with a season-high 4 touchdown passes in this game. 1 to Bennett, 1 to Nix, 1 to Hickson, and the latest to Victor Cruz. Set up by the Jernigan 60-yard kickoff return. 7th time for Eli Manning. He's had 4 or more touchdown passes in a game. Cadet on the dead run, made the catch. Can't make the 20. You can call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile now and get coverage of every NFL game. Saints back on offense, and as you watch Drew Brees go to work, realize that Drew and the Drew Brees Foundation donated $1 million to relief efforts in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. One of the real good guys in the NFL going through a tough stretch. It's been better the last 2 possessions for the Saints on offense. And it'll be a timeout called by the Giants.
Timeout. Giants. They're first.
Yeah, we saw that big hit that Will Hill put on Albert Mack on the return. You're going to see it right here. And the reason I point that out is because on that touchdown throw then to Victor Cruz, Elbert Mack, who's been playing in that slot position, he was not on the field, and that's why Johnny Patrick was the one in coverage. And after the play happened, after the touchdown then to Victor Cruz, we saw head coach Joe Vitt talking with Elbert Mack on the sidelines, and not sure if he was unable to play or what exactly occurred, but no question he took the big hit on the return and then was not on the field for that touchdown throw to Victor Cruz.
From the 19-yard line, Breeze steps up and skips it into Pierre Thomas. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, the 49ers basically running out the clock against Miami. Or are they? Colin Kaepernick, 50 yards and a touchdown. That pretty much seals it. Inside 2 minutes left. They lead it 27-13. Joe, Troy, and Pan.
All right, Kurt, so San Francisco, it looks like, will go to 9-3-1. The number 2 seed behind Atlanta, 11-2 on top of the NFC. 2nd and 10. Handoff is to Ingram. And Ingram gets a yard. That's it. Chase Blackburn is in there to make the stop. Chase Blackburn, one of the real good stories in the NFL, a hard-working guy who was shocked that prior to last year, after being a special teams captain, wasn't brought back until late in the year. And his big keepsake comes from the 4th quarter during the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. He made the interception, and it's his 1-year-old son's favorite play toy around the house. As Breeze goes down the middle for Morgan. Pass is caught. And another big play, and again it's Joseph Morgan on the receiving end. He has one for 62, this one for 44.
And Joseph Morgan, 13. I mean, when he gets in the game and lines up, you can bet that he's going to go vertical. I mean, he's a raw talent, but he can flat out run, and this is how they like to use him. I mentioned it earlier. He hasn't caught a lot of balls coming into the game. He just had 5 receptions, but he was averaging over 40 yards a catch. And it blows me away that twice now they've been able to see him get down the field and make a play.
Well, a challenge flag is thrown by Tom Coughlin.
The Giants are challenging the ruling on the field of completing pass.
It was a 44-yard completion to Joseph Morgan. Take a break as we look at it on the replay. Worth a look, maybe. We'll get the call when we come back. During the challenge, we've looked at it. We've also checked in with Mike Pereira, which we do now. Mike, what did you see back in Los Angeles?
Of course, you let me make the guess, of course.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think
That's
he's
why
got
you're here.
Possession for. I think he's got possession first, going to the ground. Ball's gonna hit the ground, but does he lose possession of the ball after it hits the ground? I don't think he does. I think it stays a catch.
Here's the call.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. The Giants are charged their 2nd timeout.
You don't see Mike Pereira, but I do in my monitor, and there's a small smile creeping onto the face of our rules expert back in Los Angeles. Good job, Mike. And that's now 5 completions today of 25 or more yards for Drew Brees. This was on 3rd down and 9 as we take another look.
Well, 3rd and 9, and as I said, I mean, he came into this game averaging over 40 yards a catch. He's averaging 53 yards a catch in this game. And Mike Pereira, he just likes coming in after us and cleaning up our mess, I think.
Thank God for him.
Come on, Mike.
Sammy, Mike 5'9". Ready. You ready? Let's shot.
First down from the 36. It's Thomas. Cannot get around to Mukamara. And a penalty flag comes in. Let's take another look and see. It was on the tackle.
Personal foul. Horse collar tackle. Number 20 on the defense. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. First down.
Yeah, it's a good call. You see that he's got his left hand inside the back of the shoulder pad, and fortunate really that wasn't an injured player, because that's what happens when you start to pull them down and then you land on the back of their legs. That didn't happen, but you know, initially I thought Amukamara did everything right, and maybe he just got a hold of the face mask, but he had the hand inside the back of the shoulder pads.
Handoff is to Ingram. Penalty flag flies as Ingram wrapped up by Blackburn. Here's a call.
Holding number 85 in the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
At David Thomas.
You see him right here, 85. He holds Jason Pierre-Paul as he tries to come out of that and make a play. And so now the Saints going back the other direction.
Giants were averaging under 4.5 penalties per game going into last week. And they were flagged 9 times at the Redskins. More penalties in this one for the Saints to this point. Brings up 1st and 20. Breeze down the seam, picked off. There he is again. Stevie Brown. And a big return by Brown. Breeze can't get to him. Bushrod does. It's another Breeze interception, and the second by Stevie Brown.
Well, the Giants are playing too deep. They got safety Stevie Brown there, and anytime you throw the ball down the middle, you don't put it on him. That's the one guy, based on the zone coverage, the safety's the one guy that can take that throw away, because Jimmy Graham, he's in a position to get into that hole in the zone, and somehow you've got to keep the safety, in this case Stevie Brown, from being able to jump that route, either pump faking him to the outside. You got to do something, though, otherwise you have happened what just happened, and Drew Brees knows it.
His second interception of this game, his 9th over the last 3. So on first down, after the 70-yard return by Stevie Brown, David Wilson on the handoff loses 3 yards. And it has never gone like this for Drew Brees with the interceptions. He's now tied again with Andrew Luck, the rookie, for the most interceptions in the league here in 2012.
Well, you see that from last week. He had 5, and then today he has 2. But 2 weeks ago against San Francisco, he had 2 returned for touchdowns in that game. I mean, 9 interceptions in the last 3 games, and you're right. I mean, you couldn't have expected him to come out and have some of the errant throws that he's had in this one.
Handoff is to Hynoski, who's to the 20. 3rd down coming up. Under 11 to play. Cedric Ellis made that tackle. And just to finish with Stevie Brown, and we'll probably be talking about him more in this game and in weeks to come. They're without Kenny Phillips. They're so much better when they have that 3 safety package that they can use, and Brown has filled that gap. Phillips is out. He had missed 6 games with a bad knee, came back for 1+. He's out again. And Brown's got 2 interceptions in this game and 7 on the year. Manning is almost picked off. Trying to get it to Victor Cruz, and there were 2 Saints in the way. Johnny Patrick was there along with Abdul Kados.
Boy, he's trusting that Abdul Kados is going to flatten out and not get underneath that, but even Johnny Patrick was in a position to make a play on that ball, and they are very fortunate, the Giants are, that the Saints did not intercept that pass, because they certainly should have.
39-yard try by Tynes, who missed from 36 earlier in this game. On this damp night, he's 1 for 2. Drew Brees will go back to work. His team trailing by 18.
Never stop improving.
Giants turn the Stevie Brown interception into 3 points after that long 70-yard return. Just 2 yards on the drive, but it's become an 18-point game. Cadet waits. Tynes kicks it away. Cadet will bring it out. Gets to the 20, and that's it. Martellus Bennett on that last throw by Eli Manning that was nearly picked off. Was wide open and looking for the ball. Eli didn't see it. Keep feeding me, man, says Marty B. 18-point game. America's Game of the Week is an 18-point affair with 10 minutes left in the game. A game that's been played mostly through a small rainstorm that's moved through the area. As Breeze is flushed out of the pocket, pressured by Bernard, and the incompletion brings up 2nd and 10. You see the points off turnovers, Troy, and the Giants have those takeaways that have resulted in 17 points.
As we talked about coming in, that's really been the story for the Saints, and the Giants have done a good job of creating takeaways, and Tom Coughlin was hoping that that would continue in this game, and it sure has.
His team won the turnover battle last week against Washington, but lost the game by 1 to the Redskins. Here's Sproles. He is crunched by Tuck. As you look at the pressure off the edge, this time from Jason Pierre-Paul, who came into this game without a sack in his last 3 games.
Well, I talked about it coming into this game that I really thought that if the Giants were going to win, especially with the score what it is right now, that defensive front would have to be a huge factor, yet they've not really been able to get after Drew Brees much, and they haven't gotten a sack all evening.
Yeah, no sack for either defense, as the pass is off the shoulder pad of Moore. It's a 3 and out. And that didn't last long for Drew Brees and this offense, which isn't clicking at all now for Joe Vitt.
No, it's not, and you know that goes down as a drop, but even if he catches that, it was unlikely that he was going to be able to pick up that first down. He was covered pretty good, so you know, not a real good possession for the New Orleans Saints.
The Giants in this game have over 400 return yards against the Saints, which includes what they've done on punts, kicks, fumble return, interception return, as Hickson is forced out of bounds. The OT presented by Lowe's is coming up. Here's Kurt with a preview.
Coming up on the OT presented by Lowe's, we'll have a recap of a great NFL Sunday, including highlights of the Cowboys' emotional win, an update on RG3's injury, plus post-game interviews and exclusive locker room access. Hey, guys, good job. Who says they don't work? We'll see you on the OT presented by Lowe's.
You know, that thing was manually operated like that.
I don't think Jimmy was really pushing.
Hey, it looked like he was mailing it in. Typically, he's got his feet up. They made him get up. 9:11 left in the game from the 30. First down, Giants will try to eat some of this clock as they hand it to David Wilson. Wrestled down inside Saints territory at the 49, and he's had a nice game any way you look at it.
Yeah, he has, and he's had other moments this season, you know, where he's been able to do some good things in the return game, and you know, but who knows? Maybe we look back at some point at this game and say this was his coming out party. It certainly has been as a returner, and now he's starting to do some pretty good things on the ground within the offense as well.
Well, his real coming out party was week 1 of the regular season here at home against Dallas when he fumbled. Second time he touched it. And now over the right side, he's getting some hard-earned yards as he gets 8, and he shows a little power right here.
Well, yeah, in fact, Tom Coughlin, when he talks about him, he says, hey, he's just listed at 5'9", but he's 200 pounds, and Coughlin says, hey, he's not small, he's just short.
And the guy he hit is hurt. That's Lofton. Take a break here in Jersey. It's today for the Giants on the interceptions and the fumbles, 107 yards worth of return effort. Then you've got the kick and punt returns, over 300 yards, and on offense 339. That's a lot of yards chewed up by the Giants.
Yeah, that's a lot of yardage. That's a lot of hidden yardage, as they say, right? Wow.
2nd down and 2.
You know, you go back to David Wilson, and you know, we're talking about his size and not being all that tall, but I tell you, he's a powerful guy. He's got strong legs, and Tom Coughlin talks about how exuberant he is and how spirited he is during the week in practice. And
here he is on 2nd and 2. He picks it up. Got to the line of scrimmage, then slid out to his right, picked up 6. Abdul Kadu's on the stop. The common thinking, Troy, is that when they wanted a running back, they kind of got jumped in front of by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they traded back into the 1st round and drafted Doug Martin. The Giants say they wanted David Wilson the entire time. Martin's had an unbelievable year down with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but this guy is coming on, and he has had a big effort here in Week 14.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if, you know, if they hadn't have gotten Wilson, if things would have been a whole lot different.
Wilson on the left side with Lofton back in the game. He's in on the tackle. A gain of 1.
I mean, had they have gotten Doug Martin, let's just say, I don't know that his role would have been a lot different than what David Wilson's role has been. You know, we know it takes some time for Tom Coughlin to really have trust in these young running backs. You know, I mean, he really puts a premium, not that other coaches don't, but you know, when he came out, David Wilson, in the first week, as you said, and put the ball on the ground, it was going to take a while before he got back into the good graces. But when he has run the ball here in this game, especially lately, he's been protecting the ball at the end of the runs.
Manning just throws it away. Looked like he was close to being in the pocket. The Saints complained mildly that should have been grounding, and now they're going to throw the flag. So they complained loudly enough.
Grounding. Number 10 of the offense. No receiver in the area. Lost it down. It'll be 3rd down.
Clearly still in the pocket. No receiver in the area. It went over the head of Hickson, but by about 30 yards.
Well, Eli Manning, you know, one of the least sacked guys in all of football, came into this game, the Giants did, tied for first with just 15 sacks on the season, and he's not going to take one. You know, we see it often. In fact, Joe Vitt talked about it coming into this game, that you know, when he's got pressure, even if it means throwing off his back foot, maybe turning his shoulder and letting it go, that's what he does, and he's done it a couple times with no receiver in the area.
Manning drops it off for Hynoski through his hands, and with that, it's 4th down. And the reason why that was even brought up is because on the conference call, somebody again during the week brought up the whole elite thing with Eli Manning, who just can't get away from that ridiculous conversation.
It's the most absurd thing that I've ever heard. And you know, if you wanted to talk about it a few years ago, even then, I don't think it's something that's worth discussing, whether it's about him or anybody else. I mean, who cares? I mean, just go play. But Eli Manning's the last guy who should have to still be answering those types of questions.
2-time Super Bowl champion and the MVP of this past Super Bowl. Another win over the Patriots is Sproles. Hops out of bounds after a 35-yard punt. It's a 5-yard return. This Tuesday on Fox, all new holiday comedies. Raising Hope, followed by Ben and Kate, New Girl, and The Mindy Project, starting at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Again, Tuesday night on Fox. Always unexpected.
Joe, we know this has been a tough year for the New Orleans Saints and all that they've had to go through, and it's all been well documented. And you know what's interesting, I know Sean Payton misses being here coaching as well, but how about him going out and running in the Las Vegas half marathon last Sunday night? He's in the best shape of his life.
And getting a lot of family time during the break. As Breeze goes down, and that's the first sack of the day. It belongs to Umenyiora. OC gets number 6 on the year and number 75 in his career.
Umenyiora beats Bushrod to the inside and has a straight path, you know, right to Drew Brees. Well, they know now with, you know, there was a time where they got the game tightened up a little bit and could run the football some, but that's over now. And these guys up front, they're starting to recognize, I'm sure there are some incentives in a lot of those contracts on sacks.
Brees pump fakes, and then this one flutters out of his hand. And out of bounds for Henderson.
Well, this rain, as you said, has been coming down throughout this game, and that has had to have had something to do with some of the throws for both quarterbacks, really, as it comes out. I can assure you, if I had been playing in a game like this, I never had to play in rain quite like this, it would have been really ugly. Might as well have put Nate Newton back there at quarterback.
It's 3rd down and 19. At least you're over the period of your life where you're asking every quarterback if they struggle with a wet football. Breeze steps up, and this one floats out, incomplete. Knocked out by Hosley. Lance Moore, the intended receiver. And it's just not coming out of the hand of Drew Brees with anything on it.
No, that was one there, and it's because of the rain, and he's thrown the ball actually pretty good, all things considered, in these conditions. But normally he's able to drive that ball in the hole to Lance Moore.
Hickson waiting for the punt from Morstead. Under 5.5 to go. And the Giants, late in the day, week 14, after watching the 3 other teams in the NFC East, but the ones they're worried about, the Redskins and the Cowboys, win earlier today, are on their way to their 8th victory of the year. That's one part of it. Here's the other part. The Giants' remaining schedule will be at the game in Baltimore, but it's not easy the next 2 weeks for the Giants as they'll try and stay out in front of the pack in the East.
No, it's not easy at all. And you know, the good thing is that they took care of business here in this ball game today, and they maintain a lead. The downside is, as we just saw, I mean, 2 of those 3 games on the road, not easy games, and then you've got a red-hot Washington Redskins team, and then Dallas won today, so they're still right in it. But boy, they can't relax, that's for sure. This thing's going to come right down to the wire.
Toss to Wilson, running left. He's got room. He's got speed. He's got his 3rd touchdown of the day. He's got 1 on a kick return, now 2 running it, 52 yards for another Giants touchdown.
You just see the job that the offensive line does, but give David Wilson credit also. I mean, he's patient, he sees the hole, he cuts up into it, and once that happens, I mean, he then puts on display the kind of speed that he has, and there's just no catching. He's an explosive, dynamic player. And what a great night.
He was a triple jumper in college at Virginia Tech. He was a sprinter at Virginia Tech. And he's got a 3-touchdown day. His breakout game in his rookie year. How about his first game in the NFL? When it counted, he put it on the ground in a week 1 opening loss to the Dallas Cowboys. And he left the field and went right into the Tom Coughlin doghouse. But today he's been doing this, turning back flips and showing off his great speed and athletic ability.
Well, I talked about how explosive he is. I mean, you've got to be pretty explosive to be able to do backflips the way he's been doing them tonight.
You talked about it earlier. The Saints, the last 2 games, had beaten the Giants 48-27 back in 2009, the year New Orleans won it all. That last year in November, 49-24. Well, the favor has been returned by the Giants as they lead in what's now a blowout again, 52-27.
Another blowout. I think the Giants, you know, certainly were confident coming into this game that they would play well and do the things that they needed to do. And even though, as you said, they had a tough go in the 2 previous matchups against the Saints at New Orleans, they come out here in this game and they turn the tables on them.
First time over 50 points for this franchise since December of '86. Here is Cadet on the return. Penalty flag flies. And Cadet is out across the 20. So with thoughts back to that very good year of 1986.
69 on the return team. Half the distance. First down.
Very good. Eric Olson for an illegal block in the back. So the question is, Troy, as this Giants team, it wasn't that long ago that they were struggling to make it into the playoffs a year ago when they were 7-7, had to win their last 2. They beat the Jets, they beat the Cowboys. They go on that roll through the playoffs. They won their final 6. They won their second Lombardi Trophy with Eli Manning and under Tom Coughlin. And now you look at what they're doing to the Saints, and you wonder just how deep into the playoffs, assuming they get in, this Giants team can go.
Well, I think you've got to temper any enthusiasm you have right now, because 2 weeks ago, the way they played against the Green Bay Packers, I mean, it was a great night. And they dominated that game, and you thought, okay, the Giants are back. And, you know, they had to go on the road, not an easy place to play against the Redskins, but they didn't win that game. And as I said, they've got a tough opponent next week at Atlanta.
Here's one through the hands of Henderson. Penalty flags on the play.
And unfortunately for the Giants,
holding number 60 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's De La Puente, the center.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Giants, they had some stumbles, you know, earlier in the year, and so they just don't have any leeway right now in order to win this division.
How about a team record for David Wilson with his 327 all-purpose yards today. A kick return for a touchdown early, 97 yards, and then 2 runs for touchdowns. Big day. Here's Sproles on a screen. So then the question becomes, in the division, where does Washington go? They're at Cleveland, at Philadelphia. They end the year at home against Dallas. Remember, Washington has a better division record, better divisional record than the Giants, as do the Cowboys, who are at home against Pittsburgh, at home against the Saints, and at Washington to end the year. We showed you the Giants are at Atlanta, at Baltimore, and at home against Philly. Pass is caught by Graham, and that's good enough for a Saints first down. So it is all up in the air, and it could come down to head-to-head or that divisional record, and that's 1 strike against the Giants at this point in the season.
Well, Coughlin said, hey, we've got to win all 4 games, and I guess the good news with that is if they do win the division, they're going to be pretty red hot themselves going in.
That'll be a false start.
False start, number 74 to the offense. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's Bushrod, the left tackle.
You know, I don't know. You look around the league, Joe, as we have done, and talking about what's going to happen with the playoffs and all that. I mean, it's a great, the NFL's great no matter what month you're talking about. But when you get into December and now that whole playoff picture starts to shape up a little bit, and you see these games and the impact that they then have on who gets in, it's a great time of year, and it only gets better when you get into January.
On 1st and 15, Breeze finds Sproles. Boley shoves him out. Pro Football Talk has tweeted that RG3 will get an MRI tonight on his knee, and you want to talk about a major impact on this NFC East if the Redskins are without that threat, a threat that the Giants had to contend with last Monday night. He and Kirk Cousins got it done today at home against Baltimore. But that would, I mean, it goes without saying. He's one of the most dynamic players in the league, period, let alone rookie. As Thomas makes the catch out of the backfield, has a first down across the 45.
Well, I will tell you that Kirk Cousins, when he came in earlier in the year, he did a nice job. And then he came in today, and he did a nice job. Now, clearly, they are not the same offense with him as they are with RG3. But he'll bring a little different element as well. I wouldn't still necessarily dismiss them just because Cousins may be in the lineup.
Here's Graham. Then his backup would be Rex Grossman, who was the part-time quarterback a year ago for Mike and Kyle Shanahan with the Redskins as we approach the 2-minute warning here in the Meadowlands. 2nd down and 3. Pass is caught by Colston for a first down. I'm told Jay Cutler was injured today for Chicago in their game at Minnesota and their loss by 7 points at Minnesota.
You know, it's interesting with that information is coming into today's games, 24 quarterbacks had started all the games for their respective teams, which had been the most since going back to 1970.
Pass is caught. That's Thomas. Foley wraps him up. That will take us to the 2-minute warning here in the home of the Giants. As we watch the rookie, David Wilson, take it through the Saints and through the rain, part of his big day, and what will be a win for his Giants.
Today's game is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible.
You look at some of the records for Drew Brees, 7th straight season now with 4,000 plus passing yards, 64th career 300-yard game. That's second all time. And 49th straight game with 20 more completions. However, you couldn't care less about any of that stuff right now as the Saints are basically eliminated, as they will go to 5-8 on the season, and it's just virtually impossible. Only one team, the 92 Chargers, made the playoffs after starting the season 0-4. There were a couple of tight ones there early, but it's just too big of a hole to try and climb out of. Pass from Brees is caught but out of bounds by Henderson. We welcome in a new audience, and you are checking in on a game that has been dominated by return yards. And I guess if you want to give a nod to any one player, Troy, it would be this rookie, number 22 for the Giants, David Wilson, who has a 3-touchdown day.
He's been outstanding. I know that the Giants wanted to get him more involved in tonight's game offensively. His initial impact was clearly in the return game, but he's made his impact felt also here in the second half as a runner. Just an outstanding night by him.
So the 327 yards, all-purpose yardage from Wilson, as this pass is for Sproles incomplete as it skips in there. That's a team record for the rookie. And for those just joining us, and it's a small portion of the audience, as the Saints turn it over on downs. Wilson, who has rushed 13 times for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, returned 4 kicks, Troy, for 227 yards and a touchdown. 17 touches, that's it, to come up with 327 all-purpose yards. I mean, this could be another weapon added for Eli Manning and the Giants here down the stretch. They're going to need him.
Well, he may play a long time and not have another night like he's had here this evening. But I want to go back to talking about Drew Brees. And even he said it to us the other night, Joe, that, hey, this has been a lot tougher year than he anticipated. They knew they had their work cut out for him coming into the season, you know, with all that has happened. But he said we never would have anticipated that we would have struggled the way that we have and the way that we certainly did early in the season. I got to tell you, though, I think the league has really mishandled that entire situation, and it's still not resolved.
No. The punishments after the review by former Commissioner Paul Tagliabue could be handed out on Tuesday, but that thing has dragged on because of the appeals process. Joe Vitt finally had his day where he had a chance to testify and give his side of the story, and I know he was excited to do that. We talked to him going into that and excited with how it went as he came out of that hearing with Paul Tagliabue.
Well, they're angry about it, and I think the tough thing for them, besides the obvious of not having their head coach and that cloud hanging over them, is just the fact that they've had to answer to it each and every week. And it's just been too much for them to overcome. And as you said, I mean, with this loss, they're going to have a hard time making it anyway. But now they can start making plans for next year.
It is an 8-5 record for Tom Coughlin's reigning Super Bowl champion New York Giants. A meeting in midfield with his former defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. And it's a final of 52-27 here in the Meadowlands. We'll take a break, come back. What a day for the rookie, David Wilson. A 3-touchdown effort. And the Giants are